Health and nutrition is on everyone's mind these days. Living a healthy lifestyle starts with education. So join me, Sally Meintz, the NutriFreak, as we explore the variety of healthy options and activities Lancaster County has to offer. Welcome to It's Your Life, Lancaster. Expression, you are what you eat, well, that's a fact. If you want to experience great health, you need to feed your body nutrient-dense foods. Today's edition of It's Your Life Lancaster is about the very best in clean eating, eating organic. We're going to visit Summit Valley Farm in New Holland, where you will learn about organically grown food. And then it's off to meet John Yoder, owner of Yoder's Country Market, who knows firsthand the importance of clean eating and exercise. And finally, we're going to talk with Sean Cavanaugh, owner and chef of John J. Jeffrey's restaurant. He is passionate about using only locally grown organic foods. Hi, welcome to our show about organic food. We're here at Summit Valley Farm, home of Espenshade Organics, and we're going to learn more about organic farming. I'm here today with Wade and Jen Espenshade from Summit Valley Farm, right behind New Holland, PA. They have a beautiful farm here that they grow organic produce, and we're going to talk a little bit to them today about the difference between organic versus traditional farming. Could you tell us a little bit about how you started your organic farm, Wade?
Well, yes, this process started back probably in around 2000 to 2003 when my wife and I were doing community development work in Guatemala. We had a lot of time to read and process and look at all the different chemicals and man-made things that's in the food system, and started to realize that's really unhealthy and unnatural for our bodies. And that's when we started deciding that we really have an interest in organics.
Wade, I understand there's quite a process involved becoming certified and having your farm being organic. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, now to be certified organic, this is regulated by the USDA. There is a certification process. It takes 3 years, basically, where you're not allowed to use any prohibited substance or, let's say, synthetic chemicals on your land for 3 years.
Wow.
In order to become certified organic. After the 3-year period is when you first can become certified.
And actually, we are certified and inspected every year by someone from Pennsylvania Certified Organic, and they also look at all of our documentation that we keep as well.
Jen, could you tell us a little bit about the difference between organic farming methods versus traditional?
Sure. One of the main differences is that in traditional farming methods, chemicals are applied into the soil and also on top of the plant. In organic farming, one of the things that we try to do is build up our soil health by putting natural things into the soil, and that then contributes to a healthier plant and a healthier crop. And another thing that we do is we do not apply pesticides or any sort of chemicals on top of the plant. Rather, we put on some things like a fish fertilizer, which would provide nutrients to the plant and also keep bugs at bay. And we do a lot of hand weeding and also hand squashing of bugs.
I heard some really interesting things about the local sweet corn. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, let's go take a look at the corn. Well, one of the things that Lancaster County is known for is the sweet corn. But probably what most people don't realize is just how many chemicals are put onto that sweet corn.
Yeah, people probably don't realize that actually here in Lancaster County, in order to keep the caterpillars or the worms out of the sweet corn, it's sprayed approximately 3 to 6 times with restricted use chemicals, which are some of the more toxic chemicals that can be used. You have to have a special applicator's license to apply those. So it's really a lot of chemicals on sweet corn.
So whether you're picking up your corn at a local Amish farm or at the grocery store, you really do need to ask whether it's organic, because only certified organic products can guarantee there's no chemicals on them.
Thank you, Jen. That is very interesting. So now that we've learned a little bit about organic farming, we're going to go into the Summit Valley Farm produce stand and see what they sell to the public. Jen, you have some beautiful organic produce here. Could you tell us a little bit about the tomatoes?
Sure. Our tomatoes are what are called heirloom tomatoes. That they're not very nice looking, but that's the whole point, is they are bred for their taste, not for their appearance or their shippability to grocery stores, which is what most local tomatoes are grown for.
So Jen, what we've learned about tomatoes is it's really not about how they look, but it's the taste that counts.
That's exactly right.
So the peppers that we find in our grocery store, they look a lot like yours. How do they differ?
Another thing to remember is that there's something called the Dirty Dozen, which is the list of the most heavily pesticide-laden, chemical-laden vegetables and fruits that are out on the market. And one of them is a green pepper. And so ours have absolutely nothing on them. They're just grown naturally without any chemicals.
Wow. Now, who would be your typical customer that would come here to your farm?
We get a variety of customers that come, some that are just looking for a roadside stand and are very happy to find that we don't apply any chemicals to our products. And we also have other people that already know a lot about organic and have sought us out.
Thank you, Jen. I'd like to thank Jen and Wade Espenshade from Summit Valley Farms for having us out here today and sharing their knowledge and passion for organic farming. We just visited with Jen and Wade Espenshade, who talked to us about growing organic fruits and vegetables. And now we're going to visit a restaurant who specializes in preparing all of their dishes with locally grown organic foods. Here with Sean Cavanaugh, owner and chef of John J. Jeffrey's restaurant in Lancaster City. We're going to talk to Sean about his dedication and his passion for serving and buying only locally grown foods. Hi, Sean.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to ask you first how you became knowledgeable and dedicated and passionate about eating healthy foods.
I think a lot of it started to change for me. My father died when I was young, and he was 41. And as I became that age myself and then past that age, I started to look a little more seriously at nutrition. I'd always kind of knew, what the food pyramid was and, what the common, political dogma was on eating, but I wasn't always sold on it. And so I really started to do a lot of research for myself and just lots and lots of reading and seeking people out that were very involved in nutrition and different ways of eating and stuff. So one of the first places that was a big eye-opener for me was the Weston A. Price Foundation. And, going to them and going to a few of their seminars and just the wealth of information that they had. And once you just start lifting those rocks up and you realize how much you really don't know, and just kind of started from there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, when you were working in resorts and other restaurants all over the country, what kind of practices and food preparation type things were going on that were unhealthy versus healthy?
I don't know if I'm going to say unhealthy or not, but they were just common practices of, using factory farmed animals, using highly processed seed oils, using a lot of refined foods and stuff like that. It's just how a majority of the population eats. And it's also a lot to do with price, because you're working for publicly traded companies and you're doing, millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of food sales. And there's a bottom line that you have to meet. And, the food obviously tastes good, it looks really good, but if you go back to the source of where it came from, how was it raised, what is it,
right.
And, what is a factory farm, and that is just the common practice, throughout the country.
Right. So factory farm, I've heard that term. Can you kind of give me an idea what that really means?
Yeah, it's, I guess you could say factory farm or confined agricultural feeding operation, but what that is, whether it's going to be, cattle or chicken or hogs, it's just very inhumane, dirty, just these massive operations that put a lot of stress on the environment. They put a lot of stress on the animals, and they put a lot of stress on the people that have to do those jobs. And basically, I think what it comes down to in a nutshell is the animals are not healthy, and so we're eating unhealthy animals. There's a lot of antibiotics and hormones used. There's a lot of low-dose antibiotics that is actually in the food, and it's all grain-fed. So if you look at cattle, for example, they are not, through evolution, they're not designed to eat grain, but it's a quick way to fatten them up. It's a high carbohydrate, low fat diet, and it puts a lot of weight on them. So the body of the animal reacts to that, and they're under stress, and they get sick. So the best way to nip that in the bud, I guess, is to do the low-dose antibiotics that's in the food. Then you run into the problem of antibiotic-resistant bacteria and just basically sick animals. Whereas if you go to a farm that's raising their cattle outside on grass, there's really no need. I mean, you're going to need some mineral supplements and stuff, but you don't need all the drugs and the hormones and the steroids and all that stuff to raise that meat. And you don't need all that extra oil and petroleum as well, because you're letting the sun do the work to grow the grass for the cows to eat the grass. Then the cows ferment the grass into protein and go from there.
Wow, this is what people really need to know to be healthy. Now, about your restaurant, how did that come about?
I have a great business partner. His name's Michael Carson, and he's a chef as well. And we had worked together throughout the years. And in midsummer of 2006, this opportunity came up for us here at the Arts Hotel to, take the space and open a restaurant. So we teamed up, and we opened in November of 2006. And we chose to come to Lancaster for a couple reasons. The biggest one being that this was going to put us closest to the best farmers. It was very, very convenient to be within a 20-mile, 5-mile, 2-mile radius of just great farmers that we could go to the farms and find out if it's a good farm, a bad farm, what's all going on, and really know what's going on at that farm, and be an active participant and a partner with that farm, and have them be a partner with us as far as how they're going to grow and raise, and how we're going to use it, and how the menu is going to change throughout the year and everything like that. So that's why we thought Lancaster was just a great spot. The best farmers around. So that's why we came here.
So on your menus are seasonable. Tell me about how that works. What you choose to put on your menu based on the season of the year.
It's not really an exact science, and that's kind of probably what makes it fun. But it's difficult at times too, and lots depends on the weather. We're going to have the rain, do we not have the rain, and this and that. But basically, we talk to the farmers once or twice a week, and we're kind of on a really good schedule now because we're coming up on 5 years that we've been, dealing with them and just really having a good partnership with them. And so we get a heads up, this is what we're going to be having, and we kind of tell them how much we'll want, and most of the time it's pretty close, and it comes in, and then we have all this beautiful stuff that comes in, and it's like, okay, what do we want to do with it? And then after a while, going through over the years, there's just certain things that have become favorites and stuff, and every winter or every spring or something, people want this again. They like when asparagus season comes around, for the last couple of years, we've done a really, really nice, like marinated grilled asparagus wrapped with, we do a house cured ham and smoked ham with like goat cheese in the middle. And we only have it for a couple weeks, and it's very popular. So like next spring, people are waiting for that to come back again. So we do recycle some favorites at this point, but we always are doing new things as well.
I want to ask you about oils. A lot of my clients with NutriFreak talk to me about what are good oils, what are bad oils, the fats and things like that. And what I've been hearing about a lot is coconut oil and how healthy that is for cooking. Can you give me some feedback on that one?
I enjoy coconut in all shapes and forms. I do think it's very healthy. Unfortunately, it is probably one of the ingredients that we use that is not local. We haven't found any local coconut farmers yet, but we're working on that. It's getting warm enough, so might get there. Yeah, I think that coconut oil is really good. It's very heat stable. So I think it's a good, when you look at maybe clarified butter or ghee, lard, beef fat tallow, and coconut oil, they're just really good oils to cook with that are stable, and there's no molecular damage at the higher heats that you use.
Right.
They taste great. They're very satiating, and I think that for coconut oil especially, I think that helps a lot with your lipid profile as far as raising HDL, and it's anti-inflammatory, and there's just a lot of really cool things with it, and it's pretty inexpensive as well.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, who is your typical customer that visits John J. Jeffrey's, or is there
I've been trying to figure that out for 5 years. I don't know. Most of our business is local business, but we have a lot of people that travel here from DC, Philadelphia, New York, Baltimore, that come in a lot of times on the weekends, and we're getting more and more of that now. And then we also have a pretty large, actually, believe it or not, European clientele, and a lot of them are here. There's all these businesses in Lancaster that, are involved with Europe and stuff. And last night, for example, we probably had 25 people in the restaurant from France. Wow. And they get used to coming here, and they love the tartare, they like this, and they really like the restaurant, so they really support us, and they're in town a couple times a year. Whether it's, we have a group coming in from Switzerland or Belgium or France, a lot of Germans and stuff. It's really neat. So there's all kinds of little segments to our business.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was bison. There's a lot of talk about bison being healthier than beef. Mm-hmm. It's grass-fed, apparently, and but then I've heard some other things about it, as far as it maybe not being as healthy as we originally thought.
If raised properly, I think bison is great. Okay. We did do a lot of bison on our menu when we first opened. we spend time going to a lot of farms and developing these relationships. And what I did find out was we had originally lost our first bison source. We had a young Amish guy that was doing bison. It just got to be too cost prohibitive because his land, he didn't have enough scale to do it. He's working with a few animals. Great stuff though. But in going out to some other farms and stuff, what I saw and learned was that a lot of the bison farmers are doing the same thing that cattle farmers are, which is buying seconds from snack food companies. Lancaster County is like the snack food capital of the world. So you have bisons eating cheese curls and cupcakes and leftover chocolate, all the floor scraps and all this stuff, and it's cheap. And when the price of corn goes up, this stuff's cheaper, and it makes them just as fat really quick. And that takes all the benefit away from bison at that point.
So they just throw it out there? I mean, aren't they wild animals?
It's kind of like backloaders. No, you'll see a lot of them. They will pen them in, and a lot of places are cutting the horns off and doing a lot of different things. And there's got to be a happy medium somewhere there. But we found a few that the bison are still out and running around, and we found a couple farmers that are doing it the right way. We're still trying to make it work so that we can do some business with them, and hopefully we will. But we also saw a lot of the wrong things going on too, and it was really a shock, eye-opening thing. And I shouldn't have been surprised, but that's just what the corporate agriculture, what drives it all. It's pretty sad.
Sean, in my business, I have a lot of clients, and one of the burning questions is, what do I do when I go out to eat? How do I eat healthy? How do I know it's healthy? Substitutions, things like that. So knowing that you have this amazing restaurant, I have a place to send them to. But give me a little feedback on that.
That is a bit of a sore point with me. I guess most part I like to see people go to farmers markets, find a good place and buy good food and cook at home.
Exactly.
And spend less time watching the food channel and actually more time doing it themselves. And there is enough time to do that. But also, you can listen to a lot of really smart people talk about food that are, they're just on a different level than I am. PhDs, and they can talk about the biochemistry and all this different stuff that happens, and why coconut oil is good, or all this different stuff. And restaurants, when these guys talk, are always the demons. They're always the bad guys, and that's because they are. They're always, for the most part, a majority are just trying to get as much money to the bottom line as possible. We all have to pay our bills, and we all have to, pay our employees, and you have to make a living. But I don't know if there's enough consumer demand for it. And we do it here because that's what we personally chose to do, and people make a choice to support us through that, and we do well. But it's odd because people hold us to a standard which we love, but then the next week go somewhere else and they forget about that standard and they don't ask. And I think you really need to ask where you're going and start asking the right questions, and let people know the demand is out there. And don't be afraid to ask, what kind of oil, or where are you getting your meat from. And there's a lot of places that will advertise, we're farm to table. Well, that's right. Just tomatoes during tomato season, but there are other people doing it a lot more also. But there's a lot of people that try and greenwash it, and there's it's a big thing. And what kind of meat do you have? How is it raised? How is it cooked? How clean is the kitchen? How often we take people back in our kitchen all the time? Do you go back and look and meet people and all that kind of stuff? It's just like anything else. And so I think restaurants really need to do a better job, but I think that's only going to be through consumer demand.
Wow, thank you so much, Sean. I really appreciate the information you put out there. It's great, and thank you for having your amazing restaurant, and right here in Lancaster City, we can eat healthy.
Thank you.
After visiting with Sean Cavanaugh at John J. Jeffrey's restaurant and talking about the importance of buying fresh and local foods, I thought it would be fun to visit a farm where all of the poultry and all of the beef is raised right here. I'm here with Kim Weber, owner of Cozy Corner Country Store. And this is where she raises her own beef and her own poultry, and she's going to tell us about that process. Kim, what about raising your own poultry and beef? I'm very interested in that. Tell me how that process works.
All our animals are born and raised here. We feed them a natural diet. They're out on pasture in the sunshine. We feel it's very healthy for them to be there. We also raise crops here that we supplement their diet with, and our animals go to the butcher, who's licensed and inspected, and he vacuum seals and freezes the meats and then we bring it back here to our freezers for our customers to purchase.
So what I think I want to point out to our viewers is when you go to a grocery store, you have no idea what you're getting in that package that's packaged so beautifully. And here, if they come here, they know exactly how the meat is raised, how it's butchered, what it's raised on, and you know you're getting something healthy. In addition to the poultry and the meat you raise here, Kim, I understand there's other products that you sell.
We do a lot of baked goods. We bring produce in that's local from another farm. We also make our own yogurt from our milk.
Really? That's
Yes.
that's neat. I like that. And you actually send that out to some of the grocery stores, so they're
Yes.
carrying your products.
That's correct.
Thank you, Kim, for taking the time to talk with us today. This is really great information. Cozy Corner Farm. This is a wonderful place to come to meet the farmer, see how the cattle are raised, see how the poultry is raised, and buy some great products. Check out their website for more information on Cozy Corner Farm. We're here at Yoder's Grocery Store in New Holland, PA, and we're going to talk with owner John Yoder about some exciting changes that he's making in his store. Through his association with NutriFreak, he is a pioneer in promoting clean eating and creating healthier lifestyles for the folks in his community. Hi, John.
Hi, Sally.
I am really excited to be here today to talk to you about healthy eating and what you've done in this store. John, tell me a little bit about the history of Yoder's Country Market.
Yoder's Country Market been in New Holland for over 30 years, across from Gardensville High School. We started with a grocery store, added the restaurant, and we added the pharmacy, car wash, and fuel island. And the last thing we added was the dairy processing.
It's really unique that a grocery store has their own dairy. I'm really interested to hear a little bit more about that.
Yes, we have a dairy of Golden Guernsey cows. We milk and process the milk here 3 times a week. We make ice cream twice a week. And one thing about the Golden Guernsey milk is that it's higher in protein and also has more cream for our ice cream.
I grew up in Lancaster County. I know about Holstein cows. What's different about Golden Guernseys?
Golden Guernsey cows have, their milk is a little more yellow, and it comes from the beta carotene in the milk, and which is very healthy for you.
John, you have a very personal reason for making these changes to the store. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, last summer when I went to the doctor, he wanted to put me on blood pressure medicine, and I said no, I prefer not. And he said, well then why don't you try to lose some weight and go on an exercising program.
About a year ago, you and I sat down and did a personal nutritional consult one-on-one. After that consult, you sat there, you weren't saying too much, you had your arms crossed, and I said, John, what are you thinking? And you said, I think you took all the fun out of my life. What happened after that day?
Well, after that day, I tried to limit the amount of sugar that I ate and had in my beverages. I also eliminated as much white flour as possible. I tried to do some clean eating, and I was able to bring down my weight 50 pounds, able to bring my blood pressure down 40 points. You know, Sally, I would rather take time in shopping and buying wholesome foods than paying medical bills.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. That kind of thing really touches my heart. Can we go down to your store and take a look at a few of the things in your store?
Sally, I wanted to show you that we have milk in glass bottles. Milk tastes better out of glass bottles. You don't have any plastic residue flavor, and it's good for the environment. They're returnable.
So John, this is milk from your dairy, from your Guernsey cows.
Yes, this is milk from our farm. We feed the cows naturally, and we do not give any shots to our cows to increase their production.
What about the color and the flavor of it? I understand it's a little bit different than a milk from a Holstein cow.
It has more protein in, which gives it the flavor.
Okay. That is really, really cool. I'm going to be recommending that milk to all of my clients that I bring in your store. I understand this milk is much healthier for us. It's got more vitamins and minerals, and it's just a better product.
Yes. It also has more protein in, which helps to give the flavor. Has beta carotene in it, which is good to fight cancer.
Okay, let's go over and take a look at some of the vegetables.
Okay, good. Let me show you the vegetables that we have here that are organic.
You have a really nice selection here, John, of organic vegetables. The important thing to know about organic, that it's not grown with herbicides, fungicides, pesticides, so it's naturally a healthier product to put inside our bodies.
You will notice that it is packaged. That's so it cannot come in contact with other items that do have pesticides.
That's very, very interesting.
Did you see the new sweeteners that we brought in?
I have, John. You've brought in stevia, truvia, and xylitol, and these are all natural sweeteners. And the best part is there's a NutriFreak approved label underneath, which means these are all healthier products. If you eliminate artificial sweeteners from your diet and include more natural products, you're going to be healthier for it. It's a great addition to your store. John, we're going to talk a little bit about why it's important for people to learn to read nutrition labels.
Yes, Sally. That is why we offer NutriFreak grocery store tours here at Yoder's. That way you can walk around the store, be able to read the ingredients, and understand what is good for you and what is not.
You're right, John. That is very important. What I teach people to do is look at the list, and if there's 5 or less ingredients, it's probably a healthier product. It's when the list gets really, really long and there's words that can't be pronounced, that's when you kind of want to put it back on the shelf and not touch it. John, let's take bread for an example. A lot of times you look at a product and it'll say 100% whole wheat. If it does, and you read the ingredients list, that is a good product. Avoid the ones that say whole wheat, and if it says enriched or bleached, those are the ones you want to put back on the shelf. That's kind of a little lesson on bread. John, thank you so much for inviting us in today. We had a great time seeing the changes that you made and some of the healthier products in your store. With our busy lives, it's a challenge to fit everything we need to do in one day, especially grocery shopping. Thanks to John Yoder for making eating healthy a little bit easier. I hope you learned a little bit about organic foods today. If you want to be vibrant, energetic, and healthy, eating organic is definitely the way to go. Change the way you eat, change your life.